Bang bang. A black triangular-shaped sharp weapon moved and the goods were cut in half the moment the sharp blade touched them. The man in black chased behind her very quickly and the middle-aged woman's eyes were full of crazy colors. She yelled loudly, using her ability to throw more things at Fu Wenduo. Every time her ability was used, her face became redder, like an inflated balloon that could explode at any time. The two people ran one after the other, reaching the supermarket on the ground floor of the mall and chasing through the tool supplies area. The woman's eyes brightened as she saw the sharp knives around her, throwing the knives at the man behind her. Fu Wenduo's face didn't change as he avoided these kitchen knives. His body reacted very quickly. Sometimes the knife shot by his body while sometimes it was waved away by his hand. However, there were still too many knives. A fruit knife cut the right side of his face, blood drops flying through the air. This was Fu Wenduo's first injury. The woman excitedly used the ability to lift the counter of the supermarket. But just as she controlled the floating movement of the counter, the man approached her in the blink of an eye. You. The sharp weapon didn't give the woman a chance to speak and directly pierced her throat. Her mouth dropped open as she looked at the person who killed her. It seemed that she couldn't understand why this person was so fast. Like her companion who went to Shanghai, she almost couldn't capture his movements with the naked eye. The middle-aged woman crashed down and in the slightly open mouth, there was some residual human flesh between her teeth. Fu Wenduo shook his right arm and the sharp weapon became a normal right hand again. After confirming that the woman had died, he looked around before walking out of the supermarket. Then he drove off in an off-road vehicle. These days, heavy black clouds pressed heavily on the earth. Fu Wenduo grabbed the steering wheel with one hand and the map with the other hand, finding the highway. On his right cheek, the shallow gash started to heal. A few minutes passed and it returned to its original appearance, his skin as smooth as ever. After Fu Wenduo went away, two male and one female looked at each other while trembling outside the supermarket. They grabbed each other's hands and cheered themselves up. The man said he would kill those murderers. He must have killed them. Yes, he is gone. He must have killed those people. The two people said this as if they were looking for an excuse and bravely entered the supermarket. They walked among the shelves in the supermarket, his legs shaking. Their eyes slowly widened when they saw the woman's body lying next to the counter. After the excitement, there were tears of joy. The young men and the woman held each other. She died, revenge for Lulu, Shanghai, Pudong New Area. Tang Mo didn't expect to meet this little girl so soon. 10 days ago, Tang Mo ventured to Shivei Middle School and left a message for the little girl under the podium. 10 days later, Chen Shan came. Tang Mo asked, "Did you see the letter that I left and came looking for me?" The short-haired girl was very mature. She replied earnestly, "Yes. Brother Tang, 3 days ago, I went to school with Fifei and saw the letter you left. However, this mall is a bit hard to find. Recently, the actions of the stowaways have occurred more frequently in Shanghai. You and the stowaways group are enemies. It took a little effort to come here and we couldn't head here directly. Thus, it took some time." Luo Fengcheng looked at Tang Mo. "You told the children about attack in the stowaways organization." Tang Mo shook his head. "No, I just said that the little fatty and I are currently with an abilities organization." Luo Fengcheng made a soft sound at the words and looked at Chen Shan with eyes that contained curiosity and inquiry. Xiao Fifei left first to find Zhao Xiang, while Tang Mo talked with Chen Shan in a corner of the underground parking lot. "Did they save Zhao Xiang and Lu Chen?" Chen Shan asked. Tang Mo replied, "Yes. I met a member of this organization and came to him half a month ago to understand the situation with the stowaways organization. Little fatty happened to encounter them and was saved by them." Chen Shan nodded. He hadn't seen here for a month and this little girl had become smarter. Tang Mo could no longer get Chen Shan's ability to see what her current level was, but this girl was truly much smarter than she was a month ago. Tang Mo only said that he and Zhao Xiang were with an abilities organization. If Chen Shan wanted to find them, she could come over. With just this, Chen Shan speculated that this organization and the stowaways group might be enemies. First of all, Tang Mo had mentioned when leaving Shivei Middle School that after finding his friend, he would return to Suzhou. The fact that Tang Mo stayed in Shanghai indicated that he must have something to do. It was most likely to deal with the stowaways group. In addition, the little fatty had gone west. The reason why Chen Shan turned back was because she was worried about the little fatty. According to Chen Shan's warning, Zhao Xiang wouldn't be in contact with people and wouldn't appear in an abilities organization for no reason. There was a 9 out of 10 chance that Zhao Xiang had been in distress and the abilities organization saved him. The most dangerous thing in Shanghai right now were the stowaways. The abilities organization opposed the stowaways and would naturally be their enemy. Tang Mo had a thought. "Didn't you have another companion? Why are there only 2 of you?" His home wasn't far from school. His parents were gone, but once he went home, he saw his uncle. His uncle is still alive, so he separated from us. Chen Shan asked. "Brother Tang, why do you want to kill those stowaways?" Tang Mo explained. "If I don't kill them, they will continue to kill more people in Shanghai, including us. The dark corpse I encountered on the stairs of the school, is it a stowaway?" "Yes, he followed me to your school." "Then how many stowaways are left?" "There are 6 more. Only one of the stowaways' abilities are very clear. The other 5 abilities are temporarily unknown." Tang Mo told Chen Shan about the current situation. But before long, the little fatty confirmed that the 2 students had come and excitedly rushed over. The 4 teenagers gathered in Attack's operating room to talk about their experiences in the last month. Tang Mo left the operating room and went to the S4 instance with Jack. 4 days ago, they cleared the S4 instance and received the mission reward. Unfortunately, this mission reward didn't have much value and couldn't play a role in dealing with the stowaways. Today, they wanted to pass the S4 instance. When Tang Mo returned to the parking lot in the evening, the little fatty was waving his injured arm and vividly presenting the scene of his heroic rescue to the 2 female students. Xiao Fifei was amused while Chen Shan was quite calm and asking about Lu Chen's injury. The sky was getting darker. The weather had become colder in the past few days and a cold front was coming from the north. The biting wind blew against a person's face like a knife. Even reserve players could resist this type of cold. After the earth went online, humans were no longer afraid of the temperature dropping. But this wind and the cold air was likely to carry a heavy rain. Luo Fengcheng said there would be heavy rain in 3 days and this was the best time to attack the stowaways group. Tang Mo couldn't see why it wouldn't rain on this day. The night before, he found Luo Fengcheng and asked, "How will you attack?" Luo Fengcheng took out a hand-drawn architectural plan. There are 3 glass elevators in the mall. The southernmost, northernmost, and center of the mall have one each. The cinema is on the 12th floor of the mall. There was a total of 25 people in the attack organization. However, there were only 10 members with strong offensive abilities, including the injured little fatty. Tang Mo listened to Luo Fengcheng's plan and nodded in agreement. Finally, he said, "He is either more powerful than the others or a very important person." Luo Fengcheng, who do you think gluttonous is? Luo Fengcheng pondered for a moment. The possibility of it being black belt is 40% and the possibility of the other man is 60%. Tang Mo had no objections. He walked out of Luo Fengcheng's office. All members needed to rest well tonight. The next night, 10 of them and Tang Mo would go to Puxi to sneak attack the 6 stowaways. Tang Mo didn't immediately return to his car. He found a little girl alone outside the operating room. Tang Mo got straight to the point. "Shan Shan, I have one thing that I want to hear your opinion on." "What is it?" "Among the remaining 6 stowaways, there is one with the nickname of Gluttonous. We don't know who he is. There are 2 options. One is a 25-year-old young man who fought with a member of the attack organization a month ago. He didn't participate much in the conflict and turned to flee." Tang Mo briefly summarized it. "The other is a 17-year-old boy. His ability is unknown. He has a long black ribbon tied around his eyes but he isn't blind. Every time he appears, he is followed by a stowaway who appears to be his bodyguard." Tang Mo looked at Chen Shanshan. "Who do you think Gluttonous is?" Chen Shanshan thought for a long time before asking, "Who is it? Is it important? I want to prevent every possible variable." "I think it is the second person." Tang Mo asked, "Why?" "There is so little information that it is impossible to guess who Gluttonous is. But I have a hunch, it is him." Chen Shanshan looked up. "Sorry brother Tang. I really can't determine the truth with this much information. I can only say that my intuition says it is him." Tang Mo said, "That is enough." Tang Mo looked at the students in the operating room before returning to the business car where he lived these days. He opened the abilities book to Chen Shanshan's page. Restrictions: the upper limit of the judgment accuracy is 50% and physical improvements is 0%. The upper limit to the judgment accuracy was 50%. This didn't mean that when Chen Shanshan analyzed something, there was a 50% correct rate. Rather, in the face of any unknown problem, she didn't have to analyze it. There was a 50% chance that her guess would be correct. Of course, this was the upper limit. The lower limit was still unknown. But this was already very terrible. Tang Mo and Luo Fengcheng felt that Gluttonous was more likely to be the young man but Tang Mo decided to believe in Chen Shanshan's intuition. He reached out and drew a circle on the ground. The next afternoon, the 10 members of Attack and Tang Mo were organized into 6 groups. After disguising themselves, they left the mall in turn. They didn't go all the way until 5 o'clock, meeting near Nanjing Road. The sky was dark and dark clouds covered the sky. Tang Mo was hiding in a fast food restaurant opposite the building, watching the sky silently. The thick clouds accumulated heavily and a terrible darkness devoured the world. There was no electricity and no lights, making the world dark. As Luo Fengcheng said, 4 hours later at 9 in the evening, heavy drops of rain fell against KFC's glass. Crash! The rain poured down and the huge raindrops hit the ground. The rain curtain was like fog, making this once bustling commercial street hazier. In the heavy rain, 10 figures ran at a very fast speed towards the commercial building containing the stowaways. After entering the mall, the 10 people glanced at each other, nodded lightly and separated. Attack's 9 people separated into 3 groups and walked up 3 safe staircases towards the 12th floor. Tang Mo was alone and headed up the last safe staircase. The sound of the rain echoed through the empty mall, masking their footsteps. In 5 minutes, the 10 people arrived at the 12th floor. They hid in the darkness and couldn't see each other. Tang Mo stepped lightly and carefully entered the theater. He counted the seconds with his heartbeat, trying to speed up his search for enemies hiding in the theater. Tang Mo was walking towards the door of the 4th screening hall when he suddenly stopped. He placed his ear to the door of the 4th screening hall and listened carefully to the movement inside. Tang Mo closed his eyes, his mind depicting an image of the theater that Luo Fengcheng drew for all of them. Once all his attention was placed on listening, he heard his heartbeat go thump-thump. Then there was very faint breathing. Tang Mo's brow tightened as he heard a voice. They should be sitting in the front rows, the first 4 rows. The first 4 rows were the most central. The sound of breathing was very heavy. It was likely that it was a man. Tang Mo counted the time in his mind. 1100, 1101, 1198, 1199 seconds. 1200 seconds. Tang Mo took out the small parasol, quickly spoke the spell and kicked open the door to the 4th screening hall. He rushed towards the stowaway sitting in the middle of the 3rd row. As he attacked, he heard the sound of 3 attacks coming from 3 other directions. The chaos suddenly began. Tang Mo's sneak attack seemed to have a miraculous effect. The other side seemed to be resting and didn't react to his arrival, as Tang Mo's umbrella pierced this person's shoulder. As there was the sound of a bone breaking, the man cried out painfully, "Who is it? I'll kill you." There was a rustling sound in the air. Tang Mo's ears pricked and he moved to the right to avoid it. The sound went through the position where he had just been. Then it turned and wrapped around his right wrist. "Lightning, turn on the light." There was a loud female voice from the hall next door. Bang! A dazzling flash of lightning filled the corridor of the theater, like a high-wattage lamp was suddenly turned on. The light was pervasive, making each hall dimly lit up. Thanks to this light, Tang Mo and the stowaway could clearly see each other. A man with glasses. Tang Mo's heart thumped. The young man's right hand was holding a long rubber rope, while the other end of it was bound around Tang Mo's wrist. His left hand was in a strange posture. It was clear that he couldn't move it due to the broken shoulder bone. Tang Mo and the glasses man looked at each other before reacting. Tang Mo raised the small parasol and opened it. The glasses man waved his right hand and the seemingly soft rubber rope pulled at Tang Mo, throwing him into the air and smashing him into the ground. Tang Mo immediately placed the umbrella's body against the ground. Once he was thrown to the ground, the top of the small parasol pressed against it and Tang Mo was bounced back into the air. Due to the pain, the glasses man's eyes were blurred as they stared at Tang Mo. He constantly swung the rubber rope, throwing Tang Mo against the ceiling, ground, and four walls of the ceiling. Tang Mo used the small parasol to change directions and block the attacks. The small parasol bent and distorted again and again, protecting Tang Mo from being smashed against the wall. As the glasses man once again flung him against the ceiling, Tang Mo suddenly moved the umbrella and slammed the tip of the umbrella into the wall. The glasses man was stunned. The small parasol was stuck in the ceiling by Tang Mo and he hung from the corner of the ceiling. One hand was entangled in the rubber rope while the other hand held the small parasol. Both feet were pressed to the wall, confronting the glasses man standing on the ground. Come to me. The glasses man screamed and pulled the rubber rope. Tang Mo's right hand was pulled forward by him, while his left hand gripped the small parasol to steady himself. The two people was in a confrontation situation. Then the glasses man blinked, his fingers moved and another rubber rope flew out of his palm and grabbed Tang Mo's other hand. Meanwhile, Tang Mo stood in the corner of the ceiling and opened his mouth. He took a deep breath and spat out. Boom. A strong stream of air flowed from Tang Mo's mouth. The glasses man's second rubber rope was wrapped around Tang Mo's hand holding the small parasol. The surprise on his face lasted a second before his eyes opened wide and he turned to flee with horror. But in this small hall, the storm quickly swept through everything. The level 8 hurricanes rattled the seats and the glasses man was in the center of the storm. He was blown away by the strong wind and slammed directly into the big screen. The wind was still going on. A powerful storm blew through the center of the auditorium, touching the wall and returning to Tang Mo. Tang Mo was now in a very ingenious position. He had been waiting for a chance when he could return the rubber rope to the glasses man. It was a chance to suppress the other person tied to him. He was currently in a corner of the theater. The storm blew out and the glasses man was pressed against the big screen. Once the wind hit the wall and was blown back to Tang Mo, the force pressed him into the ceiling corner. He couldn't be pulled out by the glasses man and he also wouldn't fall down due to the storm. However, the glasses man was a stowaway and managed to react. He pressed his right hand on the big screen and stood up a little. As long as he stood up, he could walk. He gritted his teeth and glared at Tang Mo, walking towards him step by step. The level 8 wind would only have a certain impact on the ability and it had a surprise effect. It was impossible to use it to defeat the stowaway. The glasses man gripped the rubber rope in his hand. The two ropes became extremely thin due to the sudden long distance pulling and it was extremely strong, helping the glasses man pull Tang Mo's wrist. The glasses man used the rope to walk forward in the wind. He had a crazy smile on his lips. He was no longer affected by this wind. If he was given another half a minute, he would be able to catch Tang Mo and directly stop this wind ability. From beginning to end, it was only 10 seconds. The swallow energy from far away like a tiger ability lasted for 1 minute and could only be used twice a day. Tang Mo calmly watched the glasses man walk step by step towards him. He gripped the handle of the small parasol and twisted his wrist slightly. The next moment, Tang Mo suddenly closed his mouth and the powerful storm in the screening hall suddenly disappeared. The glasses man looked startled. But in the blink of an eye, he understood why Tang Mo gave up using the power. The stretched out rubber rope suddenly shrank due to the dissipation of pressure. The glasses man was pulled straight to Tang Mo by this. Tang Mo also pulled the small parasol out of the ceiling, letting the rubber rope pull himself to the glasses man. After half a second, the two men collided in the air. The sharp tip of the small parasol pierced the glasses man's chest and extended out the back. The two men fell to the ground with a bang. Tang Mo pulled out the small parasol that pierced the glasses man's heart and used it to break the rubber ropes tying him. He leaned over and made sure that the man was died. Then he picked up the parasol and walked out of the fourth screening hall. In the dimly lit movie theater, 3 bodies lay in the corridor. One was a member of Attack and his body showed traces of being burned with flames. The other 2 were stowaways. Tang Mo also found 3 bodies in another 2 screening halls. 2 were members of Attack and 1 was a stowaway. Now 4 stowaways and 3 Attack members were killed. All 3 members showed traces of being burned by flames. There were 2 stowaways left. Tang Mo's heart tightened and he quickly walked out of the theater. As he looked up, he saw a tall young woman with short hair kicking Jack with one foot. Meanwhile, her right hand waved and a red flame slammed straight into Jack. Careful. Tang Mo hurriedly reached out and a rubber rope flew out, wrapping around Jack's waist. Tang Mo moved his wrist and pulled Jack to him. The light in the mall was extremely dark. The young woman didn't see that Tang Mo had just the ability he just obtained from the glasses man. She stood at the glass railing of the 12th floor and watched Tang Mo warily. Tang Mo looked down. There were 5 people laying on the ground. In addition to Jack, Tang Xiao and the others were on the ground. Not only were there burn marks, there were also other wounds and they had lost their combat effectiveness. Jack's chest was burned black by the flames. After he was rescued, he stood up in order to fight again. Tang Mo stopped him. She is alone. Did she make you like this? Kak replied. She alone made me like this. When Tang Xiao came, the other 3 were already injured from the other stowaways. Tang Mo nodded and whispered a spell in a low voice. Then he opened the small parasol of Grandmother Wolf. The heavy rain slammed against the glass windows of the mall, making a loud sound. Tang Mo held the small parasol and calmly looked at this short-haired woman. The latter also looked at him coldly. Once the distance between the two of them was only 10 meters, a hoarse male voice whispered, "Be careful. His ability is the strongest." Tang Mo's heart jumped with surprise. He discovered that behind the short-haired woman, a blindfolded youth stood in the darkness, quietly looking at him. It was clear that the other person's eyes were covered with a black cloth, but Tang Mo felt a sharp gaze on his body, as if his secrets were being seen through. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed and the next morning, he violently rushed towards the blindfolded youth. Flames formed a wall of fire and blocked his way. Your opponent is me. Tang Mo opened the small parasol to block the fire dragon that pounced on him. The flames spread out on both sides of the parasol. Tang Mo held the umbrella in his hand. Suddenly, he raised his other hand and blocked the back of his neck. The short-haired woman punched Tang Mo's hand. She turned 2 times and landed stably. Tang Mo put away the small parasol and looked at the other person. The two people stared at each other for a moment before acting. The short-haired woman waved her hands and hot flames rushed towards Tang Mo. She had strong fighting skills. Under the intense and aggressive attacks, Tang Mo could only use the small parasol to defend against these strong physical qualities. As more flames moved towards Tang Mo's eyes, Tang Mo rolled backwards and avoided the flames. The short-haired woman took the opportunity to sweep her legs. Tang Mo hurriedly propped himself up with his hand and escaped from the leg. He hadn't yet recovered when the short-haired woman aimed a fist at Tang Mo, who raised his arms to block. He was struck by the powerful force and his back cracked the glass railing on the 12th floor, falling down from the 12th floor. Jack cried out, Tang Mo. Tang Mo fell from the 12th floor. He raised his parasol and slammed the tip of the parasol into the glass elevator in the center of the mall. The glass was broken. Tang Mo borrowed this force and slowed down as he reached the 8th floor. Then a loud noise was heard and all the glass of the elevator was broken. Tang Mo's foot touched the steel structure of the elevator and he returned to the 12th floor. The sight that welcomed him was raging fire. Tang Mo didn't dare be careless. He used swallow energy from far away like a tiger to blow away all the flames. After the flames spread out, the woman's fist slammed towards him. Tang Mo couldn't avoid it and there was a sharp sound as his nasal bone broke. Since the earth went online, this was the most powerful enemy that Tang Mo had met. Her ability was strong and more importantly, her fighting skills were too powerful. All of Tang Mo's movements were seen by her, as if he was a child playing. She easily resolved it and cornered Tang Mo again and again. With her terrible fighting skills, if she had the speed instead of the fire ability then even 100 Tang Mo's wouldn't be able to fight her. This woman's fire ability was clearly stronger than Tang Mo's. Return my grandfather. Swallow energy from far away like a tiger had already been used twice today and couldn't be used anymore. Tang Mo only had 2 aggressive abilities. His brain moved quickly as he thought about what to do. At the same time, the woman's fist wrapped in blazing flames aimed at Tang Mo. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed and a huge stone appeared in front of him, smashing into the woman's fist. Tang Mo no longer hesitated. He realized that he wasn't this woman's opponent at all. Is this your ability? The woman was surprised as she realized. Your ability isn't the wind. The moment that the woman spoke, Tang Mo's body showed a faint silver color. Time gradually stopped. In the quiet and dark mall, Jack and Tang Xiao looked at Tang Mo with worry. Jack said, be careful, but he only said the first word. The young woman's fist stopped in midair and her eyes twitched, as if she had discovered something. She tried to reach out and created flames in front of her. However, this wasn't a narrow school stairwell. Tang Mo had a choice of directions. Tang Mo appeared behind the woman and the sharp parasol tip pierced her back. Time returned to normal and no one saw how Tang Mo suddenly moved behind the woman. Even the woman squinted and looked in front of her with disbelief. Blood flowed from the wound on her forehead, running down her nose and slipping into her mouth. The side effect of using this ability went beyond consuming life. For these short 2 seconds, Tang Mo had consumed 4 minutes of his life. At the same time, he found that he was weak and not in the best state. If he had to fight this woman again, he would probably be killed. He took a few deep breaths to restore his strength and drew back his umbrella. The woman fell to the ground. Her eyes gradually blurred, but just before the focus was about to leave, she slammed her hand into the ground. Tang Mo was surprised and immediately turned to look at the blindfolded boy hiding in the darkness. A tall wall of fire rose up between him and the youth. The young man's brow was shrouded with a faint black energy. He turned and ran. Tang Mo hurried to chase, but the fire wall stopped him. As Tang Mo broke through the fire wall, he saw the youth running at full speed and smashing through the glass window of the building. He didn't want to die. He wanted to jump to the building next door. Tang Mo rushed to catch up. But in the dark rain, a small fat youth stood quietly on the roof of the opposite building. The blindfolded youth saw the little fatty, but it was too late. A tiny nail pierced between his eyebrows. The youth fell on the roof of the building and blood quickly flowed to the ground, washed away by the heavy rain. Tang Mo jumped to the roof of the building and found that the youth was dead. He looked at the person in front of him. Little fatty, how are you here? They had a total of 11 people, but the little fatty was still injured. Tang Mo decided to have him stay in the fast food restaurant, ready to respond at any time. Zhao Xiang wiped the rain on his face. Before we left, Shan Shan said that if you don't let me participate, find the roof of the building on this side. If they run away, they would run to other buildings. If I waited here, maybe I could catch a fish slipping through the net. Brother Tang, you told me to pay attention to the movements around the building. Once I thought about Shinshan's words, I found this rooftop. In the heavy rain, Tang Mo removed the black cloth around the youth's eyes. As Luo Fengcheng said, this youth could be called a little white face. This is my second kill. Zhao Xiang's voice was heard over the noisy heavy rain. But I don't feel afraid at all. Brother Tang, it was him. When Lu Chen and I fled, I saw him and the electric man kill a little girl around the same age as us and ate her heart. We wanted to run away. Who knew that he would find us and tell the electric man that my ability was strong? The electric man chased us like crazy and refused to give up after a day and a night. Lu Chen almost died in his hands. Tang Mo clearly remembered that in this building, the youth told the short-haired woman that Tang Mo's ability was the strongest. There was a guess in his heart as he opened the youth's eyelids. It was all white with no pupils. Last night, Tang Mo used the draw a circle to curse you ability and the target was this blindfolded youth. When the youth turned and fled, Tang Mo saw the cursed aura around his body. Perhaps it was due to the curse or maybe it would have happened anyway. In short, this youth died at the hands of the little fatty. The 6 stowaways were all dead. With the heavy rain in the background, Tang Mo and the little fatty returned to the theater. Jack's injury had recovered. He came over and spoke with a hoarse voice. When you were gone, Xiao Ziyi died. He couldn't hold on. Tang Mo's heart thumped and he strode to the entrance of the theater. He saw Tang Jiao holding a young man's body. The man's face had been disfigured by the flames. The clothes he wore belonged to Ye Yuan's. Now he was lying on the ground not breathing. Of the 3 people who found Tang Mo outside Mario's Monopoly game, only Tang Jiao was left. Naifei and Ye Yuan's were both dead. Tang Mo quietly looked at them and checked everyone's injuries. Among them, Jack and Tang Jiao had the lightest injuries. The other 3 were injured. They weren't dead but had to rest. They couldn't move casually for a short time. 7 stowaways were killed. The attack organization sacrificed 4 people as well as Naifei who were killed by them a month ago. After a night's rest, Tang Mo and Jack each carried a member of attack who couldn't walk. The 7 people took the road back. Before leaving, Tang Mo lit a fire and burned the entire mall. The sky cleared and the bright sun shone on the wreckage of the charred building. Many people who had been afraid of the stowaways and hid came up once they saw the building. They seemed to be aware of the point behind the fire as they looked up. By the time Tang Mo returned to the mall containing the attack headquarters, it was 3 in the afternoon. Tang Jiao walked towards Luo Fengcheng with a blank expression and told the whole story of yesterday's surprise attack. Luo Fengcheng's expression stiffened as he heard about the 4 dead members. He soon returned to his calm self and said, the stowaways were very strong. If it wasn't for the surprise attack, we might not have been able to beat them. The blindfolded boy didn't attack yet the short-haired woman alone killed 3 people. If we had let them continue eating the hearts, the consequences would be unimaginable. The 2 seriously injured people were sent to the operating room while the thin companion of Zhao Xiang was sent to a ward to recover. Tang Mo's nose was broken by the short-haired woman and his body had some deep and shallow wounds. He didn't take care of these injuries. The other people left the office, leaving him and Luo Fengcheng alone. I think that gluttonous was the blindfolded youth. The person who spoke was Tang Mo. Luo Fengcheng asked, why? The blindfolded youth's ability was strange. It wasn't aggressive at all. If it wasn't for his ability, the stowaways wouldn't accommodate him. Tang Mo paused before adding, perhaps his ability is related to why the stowaways become stronger after eating the hearts. Luo Fengcheng agreed. A versatile person who is protected by all stowaways. His ability isn't aggressive. Indeed, his ability is likely to be associated with how the stowaways got stronger. But we don't have a chance to know what his ability really is. The blindfolded youth was killed by Small Fatty and Tang Mo didn't get his ability. But he thought, Black Belt's ability is related to hitting hearts. They no longer talked about this. Luo Fengcheng looked at him and asked, how long are you going to stay? Tang Mo looked up at him. Today is the 23rd. I will leave tomorrow. You really don't want to stay. The stowaways are from Suzhou. There are at least 3 stowaways in Suzhou. I have lived there for 20 years and want to go back rather than stay in Shanghai. He would kill the stowaways who slaughtered more than 1,000 people in Suzhou. Luo Fengcheng didn't stop him. Before Tang Mo left, Luo Fengcheng asked, I heard that the reason why the little fatty waiting on the roof of the opposite building was due to his female classmate's words. Tang Mo paused and turned to look at Luo Fengcheng. Luo Fengcheng smiled. She is clever. But she is only 15 years old and has learned too few things. She needs to learn more to live better in this world. Tang Mo stared at Luo Fengcheng. He understood what the other person meant. Tang Mo left the office and found the little girl listening to Jiao Fifei in a corner of the parking lot. Chen Shanshan saw Tang Mo's injured shoulder and right leg and stood up. Are you okay, brother Tang? I'm fine. The 2 people looked at each other before Chen Shanshan followed Tang Mo out. Tang Mo repeated Luo Fengcheng's words. The little girl bowed her head and silently looked at the ground. Tang Mo said lightly, tomorrow afternoon, I intend to return to Suzhou. You should think about it. He didn't say anything extra and let the little girl choose. The next afternoon, Tang Mo tidied up his things and changed to a new backpack. After 2 nights, his injuries had almost completely recovered. There were only some burn scars on the back of his left hand that weren't completely healed. In this surprise attack, Tang Mo killed 2 stowaways and obtained their abilities. Ability, I am the man who wants to be the Pirate King owner, Lu Zhen, stowaway, type, genotype function, the palm of the hand can shoot out a rubber rope with excellent elasticity. Due to cause and effect, the tied object can't actively until the rubber rope for 1 minute. Level, 3 restrictions, a maximum of 2 rubber ropes can be created. 1 rope can only bind 1 target. Remark, if you can't be the Pirate King, you can be the Pirate King's subordinate. Tang Mo version usage instructions, can only be used once a day. Only 1 rubber rope can be released. Due to cause and effect, the time to untie the rubber rope is 30 seconds. I think that the abilities that Tang Mo has got recently are a little dirty. It is very suitable for him. Tang Mo looked strangely at the last sentence in the abilities book. It was the first time he didn't understand the abilities book. What did it mean by dirty? There were many limitations to the rubber rope but it was a very powerful abilities. Tang Mo looked at the ability of the fire woman. Ability, Flames Owner, Dong Si, Stowaway, Type, Atomic Function, casts a hot flame. The temperature of the flames can reach up to 1535 degrees Celsius. Level, 4. Tang Mo's eyes focused on the words level 4. This was the first level 4 ability that he had seen. Sure enough, the female stowaway's ability was very powerful. Restriction, the temperature of the flames is uncontrollable. The water evaporation in the user's body is exacerbated every time it is used. Remark, the time it takes to heat up the flames is not very fast. That is Dong Si's thought before she died. Tang Mo version usage instructions, can only be used 3 times a day. When used, the body's water evaporation will double. A passionate woman met a very fast man. Both of these abilities were very aggressive. It was good for Tang Mo who didn't have many attack type abilities. He stuffed the abilities book into his backpack and bid farewell to Luo Fengcheng. Luo Fengcheng was writing some very strange chemical formulas. Tang Mo glanced at it and didn't look anymore. Luo Fengcheng said, those 2 girls are very good. They have decided to join the attack organization. Tang Mo was slightly startled, but it was also reasonable. Xiao Feifei's identity recognition ability seemed useless, but for the attack abilities organization, it was very rare. Attack took the elite route, but they didn't accept foreign abilities. Official players must have abilities, but nobody knew if there was a reserve player with abilities. With Xiao Feifei, it was almost impossible for a stowaway to mix in with attack. As for Chen Shanshan, the little girl came to see me last night. I asked her a few questions and she couldn't answer any of them. Thus, she decided to stay as my student. Tang Mo thought the situation would be like this. You accepted her as your student? Yes. She is smart. Smarter than all the researchers I have met. But she still has too little knowledge. Just like when she told the little fatty to wait on the rooftop, she didn't know why there was a heavy rain in Shanghai that night. Not one day in advance or one day delayed. Being smart wasn't equal to wisdom. Wise people needed to have a huge knowledge base. Just like when Tang Mo first met Luo Fengcheng, the mysterious Black Tower researcher accurately used many proper nouns Tang Mo had never heard of and analyzed the situation very thoroughly. This was what Chen Shanshan was missing the most right now. But Tang Mo had a thought. I thought you just wanted her to be your assistant. An assistant is also a student. Luo Fengcheng explained. I used to be an assistant, a long time ago. It was for around a year when I was 19 years old. And Tang Mo, I have no ability. I'm just a reserve player. Tang Mo looked at Luo Fengcheng and Luo Fengcheng looked at him. After a long time, Luo Fengcheng laughed. One day, I will die because of the Black Tower. After I died, my student will still be alive. I will still be alive. Tang Mo stared at him and his lips slowly curved. You are thinking too much. The two of them laughed together. On the easternmost side of Shanghai, a three-story building that looked ordinary. A tall and handsome man in black walked into the small building. He started from the first room on the first floor, searching for something. This was an ordinary small building. The only thing not ordinary was that the doors of each room were double encrypted with iris recognition and a voice lock. Now that the power was out, these locks were powered by solar energy and still working. Fu Wenduo raised his right hand and turned it into a sharp black weapon. He directly pierced through the thick iron door. He went into every room, looking carefully. Finally, he arrived at the last room on the third floor. The name tag hanging on the door of this room was Polar Biology Research Group Leader, Luo Fengcheng. Fu Wenduo walked into this room and looked at it for a long time. He didn't find any clues. As he turned to leave, his gaze fell on a white porcelain cup next to the sink. The cup was clean, placed on the table and the lid covered it. There was no water splashed around, as if someone had cleaned it in a hurry. They wiped the sink and slowly left. Fu Wenduo looked at it. Then he stood at the door and looked around the room. He didn't disappear. At the same time, Tang Mo left the mall with his backpack. He didn't have Chen Shanshan with him, but he always thought that this little girl was suitable to be his companion. He wouldn't be reluctant if it happened. But being alone was far more comfortable than having a pig teammate. Tang Mo walked for a kilometer and the sun gradually sank westward. A curved moon appeared in the sky in the east. Tang Mo had walked halfway when he suddenly remembered. Today is Christmas Eve. Today was December 24th, Christmas Eve. He knew he could have spent more time in the mall and it wouldn't matter if he went tomorrow. Tang Mo thought casually. Just as he arrived at a crossroad, a breeze blew and Tang Mo stopped walking. At this moment, bright and happy music sounded throughout Shanghai as hundreds of children's voices sang together. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish. Tang Mo got goosebumps. He turned quickly and looked at the giant black tower suspended at the other end of Huangpu River. The cheerful Merry Christmas song ended and the crisp child's voice rang out ding dong. The surprise Christmas even instance is opened in the China districts. All Chinese players, enter the instance and start the game. Ding dong. The surprise Christmas even instance is opened in the China districts. It was broadcasted a total of 3 times as the loud child's voice continued to echo through the land of China. After the broadcast, the black tower paused for a moment. The child didn't say anything, but there seemed to be a sense of gloating. It loudly told all Chinese players ding dong. Merry Christmas. Chapter end.